So hi Rune, we're excited to have you here in Zurich. We got you here on a super sunny day and decided to put you in a super dark room and to share some of your insights with us. Both Sandro and I are super excited to spend the time here with you, but obviously also excited that you've joined the board of TRI. But more important is that you are really a thought leader in this industry. More than 25 years ago, I think you started at Reshape, and since then have defined what digital means in our industry, because the scanner is really the entry gate for any digital workflow treatment in the industry. And then there was a big surprise last year where you left Reshape, or at least I think you're still a consultant, but at least in your classic role as a product strategist, to become an entrepreneur and start your own company. IOX 3D. That's it. Yes, great name. And obviously, when we have you here, we want to use the chance to get your view on dentistry and how this is going to develop over the next 5 years. Both Sandra and I here, because we are excited about what's happening. Digitalization is really bringing so many new chances. But that's maybe the good entry, Rune. So welcome. What does the future look like, and what is your view?
So first of all, I think it's extremely exciting times to live in. I mean, there's really changes here. One of some of the biggest changes in my life, honestly, I believe is happening right now. And of course, big changes create big opportunities. And I'm, on behalf of dentistry, I'm actually very optimistic I'm positive on the impact. And of course, when we talk about the big trend right now, it's impossible not to talk about AI, whether you call it generative AI, or today actually there's much more talk about agents for the last 3 to 6 months. How we are going to have agents, helping us doing some of the, more administrative task or repetitive task, right? So, and I mean, the world is changing fast. When you see at the speed where these models, I mean, ChatGPT, Anthropic models are changing.
Yes,
it is impressive, and you see areas being disrupted. Support agents are going to roll in already to a large extent there, honestly. Maybe the biggest surprise for everybody is the total disruption that happened on software development now, where it becomes so easy and fast to develop software, and you can hardly require skills, honestly, like classical programming skills. So there's happening disruptions, and another thing is, photos, making videos, and so on, right, is also being disrupted as we speak right now, and there's a long list of other industries. But of course, for all of us in this industry here, it's what's going to happen for dentistry. How is that going to impact the clinic, right? And you can say, of almost all industries, I actually think it will have the most positive impact on dentistry, on the clinical, into the office.
So you don't see any threats, or you're not afraid that this might actually potentially reduce the quality of work because we rely potentially on an AI software that is not well worked out? Or
I mean, let's get into those details in a second, but you can say overall, you can say what makes dentistry beautiful from an AI perspective is that, I mean, you have a human in front of you, so you want the human interaction, but you're also working in the mouth. And this is not what AI, at least short to mid-term, is good at, right? You will still need to physically work in the patient. And yes, if you look far out in the future, there might come robots and so on. But short to mid-term, AI is not going to replace neither the interaction, in my opinion, and certainly not the work into the mouth. But what is going to happen is that's going to take a lot of the way of the documentation, for instance, in the PMS, filling in the, the notes, filling in even the chart, reporting to reimbursements, and so on. So it actually takes away a lot of the administrative tasks, and who like admin? I mean, at least for sure not me. I don't think
so bringing the dentist more to the core of what he studied.
Exactly. So I think what most dentists I know is passionate about is treating patients, saving, changing people's smile and life, and really working with the patient. And certainly not sitting in their PMS or discussing with the insurance companies or other people. So it actually brings people back to the core and take away a lot of these, sorry to say it, more boring but today needed tasks. So in that sense, I mean, I think there are few industries where AI is actually going to have so positive impact. Many other things will change Of course, if we look at other changes, of course, back to us, this is just going to be a cheap AI taking bad decisions because it was ripe code by a student, a youngster, down in high school, right? I don't think that's going to be the case. But of course, there's actually regulatory requirements and requirements to get it approved. But more importantly, I think there'll be a lot of AI diagnostic. You can see now X-ray AI is like there's more than 20 companies, building that. There are some leaders that are very far that also automate, reimbursement submissions, taking all that pain away. We also see intraoral scans, for instance, Reshape introduced, AI on intraoral scan, very, very innovative solutions. So, and you see now CBCT scans, which is kind of the next wave, being AI segmented and analyzed, which is actually a huge benefit because whereas on 2D, you can more or less view it with your eyes, right?
Yeah, no,
but in 3D, on CBCT scan, looking through all those slices and turning them around and really looking for all the details there is very, very difficult. So yes, we will have a lot of tools helping us, especially on the diagnostic and also the more repetitive task, of course, crowns.
Yeah, I mean,
go ahead, yeah.
Sandro, you can just talk about the AI crown, which we launched last year. Within a few, it didn't take us so much time to actually provide the service, but as a first implant company, we launched the AI crown, helping the clinician to really be providing a crown or designing a crown, the dentist, within how long?
Yeah, and I think, in the end, it's what you're saying, it's a dentist treating a human being, and the patient ideally wants to leave the dentist office with a tooth, not just an implant, but we haven't had the technologies in the past that the dentist alone was able to do that because he placed an implant surgically, he had great surgical skills, but then he didn't have the technical infrastructure to make the crown. He didn't have a CAD software because these had to be operated by dental technicians. So we've built the workflow. We call it the scan and smile in 15 minutes with modern 3D printers like the Midas printer from Sprinter that we really love. And we are the only company who can enable this because we have taken out all the restorative components from the system, the abutment. So our promise is the dentist alone, without a dental technician, he receives the patient, he takes an intraoral scan, dentist can scan. They have to make one single click in our AI crown software. They get the design. In the past, we needed a dental technician, and you know how it is. He's not ready, and you have to call him. And then on the modern printers, we print this crown in 7 minutes. And because we don't have an abutment, we can take this crown from the printer, screw it to the implant. If you had an abutment, you need a model, you have to cement it, you have to bond it. So I think I totally agree with what you're saying. This is the perfect example how AI helps us to create faster innovations, treat patients, human beings better and faster. And this is the beginning. There is, for me as a mechanical engineer, I'm super excited about all this.
And just to lead it back to AI, and I think AI can help us to eliminate a lot of friction points in the processes. Whatever the workflow is, like in our case, no abutment, we can now design a crown. But what I find fascinating, and we both are excited by, is that not only AI is there, but our dentistry has become a super high-tech industry in terms of, we have AR glasses for training, we have the scanners, we have guided surgery, we have 3D printing, we have CAD-CAM, and all to produce one single tooth, right? We go to IDS, and you really have to know the stuff, right? You have to understand the whole ecosystem.
Think about the technologies involved to treat an edentulous patient in 1 day, to give teeth to the patient the rest of the... It's like 11 technologies from various companies coming into the game. These technologies have to connect. It's innovative technologies. It's changing. I have friends in heart surgery. It's a closed environment, but in dentistry it goes from surgery to biology. It goes to so many different...
No, but I'm so much agreeing. I mean, you can say... So last fall, I decided to leave Reshape, right, and step out and starting my own company here last week. I'm 3D, so that's it's super fun. But why did I then
With your wife, I have to say.
With my wife, yeah.
Don't forget it. Co-founder.
That was a co-founder. That was a very bold move, yes. But back to the other part of it was also at why do I stay in dentistry? Because, first of all, I love dentistry. And there are so many opportunities now with digitalization. I have more than 30 ideas. I'm working at least on the best of them, right? So there are so many opportunities in dentistry, and it's a fantastic business, and it's not too easy. I mean, we're not making shampoo, right? I mean, we're making something exciting that has some complexity, but also huge impact on patients. And it will continue to accelerate now here. And that's actually a super point, because what AI will do, not just for dentistry, but across the board, the software is going to be so easy to develop. So it means there's going to come much more software at a much higher pace. So, of course, again, giving opportunities. But it is extraordinary, exciting times to live in. Big changes gives big opportunities, right? And I'll also say, if you are not digital born or riding the digital wave, then you might not drown, but it will for sure be difficult times. I mean, you need to adapt. So I listen to a lot of AI podcasts, right? And there's always a discussion what will happen, and I don't think anyone truly knows across all industries, right? But one thing that's sure, you need to ride the wave. If you're not riding the wave, then you are gonna be left behind either on the beach or underwater, right?
You've stolen our line here, because we say there's a huge wave coming of digital dentistry. And you have to make sure you ride on the right side of the wave. And we believe with our matrix, no abutment, we remove friction so that you can ride on that wave. But to that point, you're known for being really a customer-centric thinker that builds workflows. You know, you didn't just leave it just with the scanner. You thought, like, what does it mean behind it? So will the open or closed system workflows win? Because they're,
I mean,
it's a big debate, but still.
In my opinion, there's no doubt that open will prevail. And I think you see that across all industries, and even and certainly also in dental. I mean, there's a lot of examples, like the milling machines were closed initially, they're opening up. We see also printers now being closed initially, now and largely opening up, for instance, Formlabs earlier this year here, right? But I think it's more important to say why, actually, than who will win, which solution will win. Because with the flow of technology coming in, no one truly always knows the winners, right? And it's just become even harder now, because smaller companies will be even more innovative than the big companies out there. And also, the dentists want to choose. People want to be able to choose to work with A or work with B. Some will like, a more premium experience, and it's really still strong. I mean, you need workflows ultimately, because we cannot have this fragmented world. Others like to work for other people for other reasons. So I think open will prevail. And we can say this is exactly one of the reasons why I'm sitting here, not today, but why I joined Tree, right? Because I think there's few, if any, implant companies that are truly embracing openness and digitally true, digitally born, right? Sometimes you still feel that some of the implant companies are selling physical parts only and not workflows and full experiences, right? So I think this is exciting. And I can tell you, some years ago, 5 years ago, we launched Reshape Unite with the argument of building the fragmented world together. And it's even more fragmented today because of AI tools coming in. And I'm sorry to disappoint people here. It's going to be even more fragmented tomorrow, because there's going to come all these vibe-coded software solutions out there. So workflows are important. Also being able to jump on the latest innovations. I mean, a great example is also 3D printed materials. Maybe we should talk a bit more 3D printing. But who is going to win? Who's going to come with the best 3D printed materials? I mean, there are 50 companies, if not more, developing 3D printing materials, right? But who will win? Who will come with the best material out there is very hard to say today, right? So you need to be open.
Absolutely.
And speed is only going to increase. So, and maybe just my last comment on this is, I don't see the big companies embracing that, unfortunately. Whether it's, Align really trying to keep everyone in the Invisalign world, or Straumann or Nobel, or Invista, trying to just push their own solution and build their own ecosystem. That's basically what they all want to do. Maybe not out of bad will, but just out of focus on it. So I think you need to be small, fast, and open. And there's an old saying it's not the big fish that eats the small fish, it's the fast fish that eats the big fish. And I think that's even more true today than just a few years ago with the latest innovation speed we see.
Yeah, very interesting. And I think it resonates nice with our, when we decided to eliminate the abutment, we realized now, by the way, the implant that we call is called Matrix because of the movie The Matrix.
Oh, really?
You have to make a decision. So if you take a blue pill, you stay in the analog world. When you stay the red pill, you go to the digital world.
I didn't know that. That's fun.
So it's a digital gateway to an open ecosystem like in the digital cloud. And, Sandro, maybe you can talk just about the TRI Plus platform where we basically just go out there and try to hunt the latest technologies to make sure they're always compatible. Because the reality is, any clinic our team goes into, they have a mixed up ecosystem of technologies. 100%. There's a scanner from 3Shape, there's a printer from SprintRay, then there's a CAD/CAM machine from IMS iCore. And how does it all connect? How do we help these people to think in workflows? Because we really understand ourselves much more as a workflow company than an implant company. But the TRI Plus is maybe an interesting...
Yeah, definitely. Like you were saying, you have been in dentistry for 25 years and you're still excited because of the technology. And same for me for 18 years as a mechanical engineer. And I'm not here just for the titanium screw. What really excites me is all this technology around. So, at TRI, we were originally actually an implant company, but to develop our solutions, we need a very detailed understanding of all the digital technologies around. We have to know how the scanners work. We have to know how the milling machines work, how the printers work. And this is exciting to us, because like you were saying, it's much broader our work, our scope to think about all the digital technologies that we have in dentistry. So that's why we said, the only way for us to provide the perfect workflow to customers is that he can use the existing digital technology. So we have established this interface. We call it TRI Plus. It's an open interface, but it's a validated interface. So basically, we have all the boxes from data generation, planning, treatment execution, and the dentist can basically pick hardware and software that he has, and then we tell him it's compatible. We're compatible with almost everyone, and we have very clear integrations and manuals to show the dent. And we take full responsibility. If something fails, if something breaks, that customer can come to TRI, and it's our responsibility. We cannot tell him, you bought the material from there, you bought the software from there, because it's not our software in all the cases. Yeah. But we take the full responsibility because it's an open TRI Plus fully validated workflow. And this is our future, and this is the only opportunity. That's why we are so glad that the industry is actually moving this direction. There is also other scenarios from other industry where it's a simple technology, then it goes more to closed system. But this is exciting that it's even more opening up, and this is definitely in the favor of the newer companies.
I 200% agree, right? Because, when you see many of the bigger conglomerates that think they should put a CPCT, a chair, everything in their milling machine, intraoral scanner, or whatever they have, but that's never the world you see when you walk into a clinic. They have a little bit from here, a little bit from there, a PMS from someone else. They have at least 5 to 10 different providers, honestly, if you look. Now we didn't make it to the plastic gloves, right? That also doesn't matter. But for the bigger equipment side, right, and software side, and that's why it's so important to integrate that. And again, if I was bold on open years ago, then I'm far more bold on it today with the speed that we see. And the innovation that comes out in not just Europe and US, but of course also China these days, right? There's much more speed on it than what you used to see.
Yeah, and we also see the challenge for the end user, going to IDS, having like all these technologies. So we really believe to have like open workflows, but validated workflow is our value proposition that we can provide to the dentist to tell him.
You almost beat my point here, but that is because we sit, and I remember myself sitting with 600 engineers at 3Shape that every day was thinking digital, right? But I can promise you, the dentist out in the clinic is not thinking digital, 24/7 like I'm to large extent doing, right? I mean, they get it, and it's and especially if you are, of course, the early adapters are passionate and will do the coolest, latest stuff. But the early majority and the late majority, they're in a complete different way.
It has to work.
It has to work, and also I think what many these industry people don't understand is if it fails, then it fails in front of the patient, and you are delayed the whole day.
It's not nice.
So the pain is much. It's not. You're not just late for your next meeting. You have angry patients the whole day, and you get stressed. That's why I actually think that it's even more important that you have these smooth running workflows, because if you don't have that, then it's difficult. And I mean, so for me, that's completely the future. And I'm ultimately also a mass market guy, right? I want to do products that is not just for the guys on the podium or some crazy specialist down in the corner, or lovely specialist down in the corner. I want to do mass market products, which means that then you have to have it ease of use. You also need to think sometimes about the assistant that actually should preferably scan or preferably do some of the basic work, right? So the dentist can be freed up to do more advanced work. So the whole workflow part is for me completely key, and something I've actually been a believer. Another reason why joining the board of 3 here is I've been a true workflow believer here, right, for many years, and not to repeat myself, but it's only getting worse, unfortunately.
That's good for us. It's good. As an engineer, it's exciting.
Yeah, it's super exciting. There's a lot of opportunities, but also customer pain, obviously, if we're not careful.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, the speed is breathtaking with which, AI is sort of coming in our lives. I was telling you earlier today, I plan to build now my own agent to sort of deoperatize my own life. And can we project what the world look like in 5 or to 10 years? Or do we just have to make sure to, ideally stay as flexible, dynamic, and open as possible? Besides, obviously, trying to influence, but it's the impossible becomes impossible to think almost, right? Because it is so many. Elon Musk wants to have 1 million people on Mars now, but that's another story.
That might be a marketing stunt more than
but there's always a little bit of truth in there with him. But so what will how can we project the future of 5 to 10 years? Will there be what will be the relevance of the dentist in that ecosystem?
No, I still think. Sorry. I mean, I actually still think it'll be highly relevant. It's back to. I mean, we are still humans, and one thing I'm very sure about is we want human interaction going forward. We're not just going to sit and talk to virtual agents, even though I have seen as AI-generated faces on a computer screen where you can honestly you cannot tell the difference unless you're really looking for it, right? And also the whole, again, the handicraft part of it. Yes, there will be companies trying to make robots, and there's also a small handful out there right now, but they're honestly not very successful, and you still need much more. Of course, they will come eventually. For selected applications and so on. But you can say one thing which I actually think is super important when we talk about the future. That is, in 10 years, in 20 years, in 30 years, the human anatomy will not change. Our tooth, I don't think so at least.
Yes.
No, so the problem will stay the same. It will be, yes, maybe we can... Maybe there will be some culture that you can take into the mouth that will slow down degradation of the teeth and so on. But overall, you will still break your teeth. You will still need to replace them. You will still chew your food, I'm pretty sure. And so on. We don't go to other ways. So you can say the fundamental problem, in my opinion, stays intact. You will still need to go to the dentist with a regular frequency, or certainly when you have problems, right? But of course, the way you will go to the dentist. Also, one thing we didn't talk so much about, that is that if you look back 30, 40 or 50 years, the experience actually haven't really changed going to the dentist, right? You go in, you sit on a chair that almost looks the same as years ago. He look into your mouth, and he will do some cleaning or some filling or some grinding, right? Yes, we know that There's a practice management system, there's an intraoral scanner, there's a digital X-ray and all these things. But I think there's a big opportunity also to build a more digital consumer experience. And so
do you have any understanding or imagination of how this could look like in 10 years to see the dentist
would there be the
from a
household
patient
scanner, like which is analyzing everything at home?
That's always a good question. Let me start saying there's no doubt that there will be a full digital experience, right, in the clinic. And of course, I mean, we all know that phones are so powerful. And of course, you will bring that digital experience home with you. And also, of course, I mean, treatment simulation, I mean, will be fully blown on your phone, etc., right? But it's actually exciting because there has been done fairly little on this. Yes, I mean, Align has been pioneering, treatment simulations and so on, but it's still early days. There's very little focus. One of the last things I did in my previous job was actually launch a really cool patient app at Reshape, which I truly loved, where you can bring home all this diagnostic you do at your intraoral scan, but it's still early days. And I think dentists, if I should be a little bit honest on it, it still seems like there's a lot of treatment focus. It's treatment focus, there's less communication and experience. Of course, you see good clinics, for instance, you see many of the more cutting-edge clinics being almost more cafe you walk into, right, than a medical clinic, right? When that is said, I still think there's huge opportunities improving that and delivering a better experience there. And of course, the whole diagnostic will for sure change a lot. We will for sure have AI agents, giving us advice.
Yes.
I mean, for me, that is, I'll not call it done, but because that still needs to be done. Yeah. But we see the state of the art there will be AI analysis of X-rays, CBCTs, intraoral scans, and whatever the future will bring, right? And then, of course, the whole clinical experience inside the clinic during treatment, right? It's also going to be very interesting to see how that will develop. And of course, one of the hottest, and we also discussed this, and one of the hottest is called humanoid robots. Yes. Are they really going to get into the clinic? I mean, I don't know if you guys know. I'm a passionate runner, so I don't know if you saw. I think a months ago that the robot for the first time beat a human in half marathon. I mean, in China, there was a competition there. Or was it a marathon? I think it was a half marathon. Anyway, I mean, I'm not impressed. I mean, the car have been able to beat a human for a century, right?
Centuries, exactly. Yeah, that's not impressive.
No, but to what extent is humanoid robots gonna come, and so on? If you look at a 10-year, 5 to 10
maybe even
years.
as an assistant, I mean, just like giving some instruments, having a human being there sitting next to the dentist doing stupid, repetitive tasks, just holding the suction device.
I mean, we have certain values in our company. So one value is Swissness because we're from Switzerland.
Of course.
And the other thing is digital thinking because that's what drives us every day. But one other dimension is simplicity. And our hope is as well that we, with all the technology that's coming, treatments are hopefully becoming simpler and faster for
100%.
clinicians. Because when we look at implantology, it's truly still an affluent segment. Not all patients who need an implant really have the chance to get an implant.
Sure.
So, that's at least my hope that with all the technology that is coming, that more dentists feel comfortable to actually place implants for maybe a better cost as well to patients that cannot afford it. America has, I think, 35 million people with not fixed teeth. Right? 35 million people. A full arch treatment costs today $30,000. One arch, right? $60,000, 2 arches. Which is, it's difficult today. That's why it's justified. But maybe technology can help us to expand this and to bring it to more people. So that's what we're also working on by for example, the 3D printing you were mentioning beforehand, like how this has revolutionized everything.
Yeah, completely.
Right? Like today, on our implant, we have these 10 apps. You can choose an app and just print in 7 minutes a crown, a healing collar, a support, a bridge for full arch scanning.
And Tobias, I remember when we had the global launch of our Matrix 5 years ago, we presented the implant, and we didn't have a very strong focus on 3D printing. So since the launch of our product, we have added these 10 applications, and actually out of these 10 are built around 3D printing. So even in the last 5 years, it has been an incredible acceleration of printers, and then companies are thinking about what we can do with printers and the flexibility, the possibilities. Now the printing coming together with AI. I think you talked first about the AI and combination between printing and AI. That in the end it has to offer an incredible benefit to the patient. It's not just about the technology, it's about all the human beings on this planet who need restorations and teeth in a fast and simple way.
But you can say, and then you're so right, you can say generally on 3D printing, I mean, for me this is the hottest topic in dentistry right now. We really see, of course, if you look into the clinic, now people have digital x-rays, now have intraoral scanner, but of course, if you look at generally speaking, from a technology point of view, printing is extremely interesting, both with the materials coming out, where we see a lot of new materials coming out. You can say digital printed dentures is honestly here today. I mean, there are printed 10,000s of digital printers, mainly in the US, right? Like DSOs, for instance, like Aspen are doing an amazing job also there with good clinical result now, but it's technique sensitive though. But overall printing is exciting, and of course chairside printing. I mean, Midas is a super cool, cool product.
For a long time.
It is honestly a great product. This coffee machine style, and I think you have actually currently taken the killer application on the Midas there, because you can say I'm personally a little bit skeptical on printing final crowns yet.
You will see.
Temporary crowns, honestly, you can do that so fast with an alginate solution. But the killer application for me on chairside 3D printing, or especially Midas, is actually the temporary abutment. So patient can walk out with a tooth in the mouth. And then, of course, I mean, I can tell you, I've been trying to do chairside for 10, 15 years. And I would say there's a few barriers, but number one barrier was always that the dentist didn't want to design.
Yes.
And honestly, in my opinion, shouldn't design.
Yes.
And this is where AI actually becomes almost disruptive, right? Because now we see AI design across multiple indications. And of course, there are 10 plus companies, rather 15 companies doing qualified AI design now, which actually going to accelerate further the printing. I mean, the combination of...
This is like the combination of printing and AI that's magical.
This is magical, right? Of course, you can say the big... Normally, I actually even call it a lie about 3D printing is there's also post-processing, right? So you need to think about that as a full workflow. When that, I mean, you don't take the crown out and put it into the mouth. When that is said, is that something, when you talk to dentist printing, that's actually something which can be delegated. So it's not like the dentist should stand there.
But there also have been huge advances in the post-curing. So now it takes 2 minutes on the Midas. It's a clean, nice box. So it's not like what it used to be anymore.
I mean, it's definitely moving forward. I still think there's innovation space on the post-processing side. But you can say from a Midas also with the small cartridge and everything is so contained instead of pouring materials out of a printer and so on. So this is going to be very interesting to follow, and there's for sure going to come much more printers. And you can say on the material side, there's still innovations, but as one of the CEO of Sika have told me multiple times, we are only one innovation away, right? And that's for really a breakthrough on a permanently, as the killer app, which is permanently printed crowns. Of course, there's another killer app, which is, you can say, printed aligners. Let's not open that up now, but let's not go there right now. I mean, there's a lot of people working on it. I'm still a bit skeptical, I have to say, on the material properties. But of course, generally on 3D printing, the machines are getting really good. We now have the AI, and there's at least 50, if not more, companies and very skilled companies. Also people that really know dental, which is actually sometimes important, that are working on these materials. So I think that is another thing we're going to see. And maybe the last comment is in that context is that in the US, printers, actually now surpassed milling machines in the office. So we have, depending a little bit which number, you believe in 15 to 17% penetration in the US of 3D printers in clinics.
Most digital market in the world.
Yeah, most digital market in the world. And I'm sure that this will also happen in the rest of the world because US is ahead here. So I'll say printers is an extremely interesting application also.
I mean, as Sandro said before, we call this a scan and smile process. Effectively, if you break when we go snowboarding this winter and you break one tooth, you don't even have to tell your wife that it happened because you go to the dentist, you place the implant, and it takes really 15 minutes. There's no abutment. We have an AI software to design the crown. Sure. It goes on the Midas printer for 7 minutes. And 15 minutes later, you go home with a tooth. And if you don't want to tell your wife that you found, you have covered it. And that's amazing. And that's 2026, right? For sure. It's still a provisional crown. I think materials will get better and better.
We said since we launched the Matrix 5 years ago, we didn't talk a lot about printing. Like printed full arches, we can do it since 2 years, with Printer Onyx Tough 2. Before it wasn't possible, and now we can print it. So the speed is incredible. But what do you think? How long does it take to get the printed final crowns?
I mean, I know it takes 8 minutes to print the crown because I read that as late as this weekend. But that was actually a quite interesting discussion in one of the social media groups, right? Where one was complaining about it took marketing was 8 minutes, but it took longer because you need post-processing and everything around it. So I think we have to remember that it's never just about the scan time or the printing time. It's the full workflow time, right? Yes. And here I still believe that there's a compression that can be made. When that is said, I mean, implantology, there's few places where it has a positive impact, honestly, because you can print a temporary crown, which you couldn't before. You can even print your own healing abutments,
we have
an app for that, digital healing collar library.
Exactly.
You print one plate with 46 healing collars with individual emergence profiles.
But I think it's perfect. I mean, and also, what are all the other companies doing? They're trying to charge you 50, 100 euros. I don't know the prices, but that's 30 to 50 euros for a cost of a healing cap instead of printing it yourself for temporary. I think that exactly shows why you're so progressive. And of course, ever since I entered the dentistry, people have been discussing, the All-on-X treatment. How do we get the patient out with on teeth. The same day with teeth? And you can say that is truly possible today, but enabled by 3D printing, right?
Yes.
Of course, with AI, making even more AI design in the future, that will be even more interesting. But because of 3D printing, that is truly possible.
Yes.
Still, in most cases, are temporary. But it's a different world compared to just a few years ago with Onyx Tough, and I think there's one or two other materials people like, right? But it's So printing is also going to have a huge impact, and of course, going to be super interesting to follow.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it will increase a lot over the next years.
Yes, I think, like a mechanical engineer. And when we looked at the 3D printing 15 years ago, dentistry has always been one of the markets that the printing industry has looked at, because there's a huge amount of teeth on this planet and they're not the same, but they're similar. So I think it's amazing, to be today in dentistry because we have like an amazing technology, like 3D printing and AI now coming together. And in dentistry, it's even much more, it even makes more sense than in other industries. So this is going to accelerate a lot and helping us to further innovate.
A small side story anecdote here. 3D actually started doing hearing aids.
Yes.
The first mass customization on 3D printing was actually printing hearing aids designed in 3D software in 2001.
Yes.
I still remember a guy calling it the Star Wars of hearing aids at that time. But it's so fantastic when you have these custom products, which you actually need for human. So you're not just spitting the same bottle out 2 million times, right? Every piece is individualized.
Yeah.
This is really where AI design and 3D printing and, of course, historically milling becomes so exciting. And that's also what makes it so fun, right? Because everything is visualized and it's to humans.
Yes.
It's not, you're not just producing a bolt for some industrial application. No, you are really changing smiles and lives of people.
Actually, that's
every day.
Such an important statement that you're making right now. And we maybe should have touched it earlier in the call because we have only 5 minutes left. But anyhow, when we developed actually our platform, the Matrix, one famous professor, Ronald Jung from the University of Zurich, said, Matrix is the beginning of truly personalized dentistry. And I think everyone in our industry strives for that we can give the patient as an individual result as possible, yet many companies put a lot of barriers there because of portfolio systems, heritage aspects, etc. And so truly personalized dentistry where you design the crown without any limitations, in our case, no abutment, but there are other examples as well. That is the ultimate goal, right? Because and then after your snowboard accident, you have truly 100% emergence profile, right? And the emergence profile is so important. We see this in FP1 techniques where, we work with Stavros Pelikanos, for example. And, these full arches, if we show this to dentists, they can't really say if this is really natural teeth or whether it's because it's so customized impressive. And individual. Yeah, but very important statement from you.
So it's... and I think one other thing which I don't understand also is, it's 2026. We are still using healing caps, round healing caps, instead of forming the gingiva, right? Making it personalized for sure. Delivering much more aesthetic, but also much better clinical performance, right? So there are so many opportunities, and I really believe that digital is the enabler for these mass customization or individualized customization. And again, there are going to be many offerings out there. No one knows who the winner is, but that's why you also need an open system, in my opinion, because then you can play with the best one. And I think with, again, AI, the smaller fish, the fast fish, I would rather say, is will get even faster with AI and with the general technology development.
Sam Altman was asked, what does the future look like for founders in this industry? And he said he believes that we will see until 2030 the first one-person company that has a valuation of 1 billion. Because he says, you can do so much yourself with AI these days and to develop business models, etc., and then work them out. It's obviously a stretch statement, exaggerated to sort of make the point, but it's interesting, right? Well, what is possible?
I listen to quite a lot of podcasts with the OpenAI people and the Anthropic people and some of the other model companies, right? They are for sure not underselling it. And I'm not sure that actually truly have benefited them because they have scattered other people rather than making them enthusiastic. And maybe some has to be a little bit scared in some industries. But again, back to the point, the dentistry, I think, is actually one of the best places you can be, taking all the positive benefits from AI, focusing on patient, focusing on treatment, and focusing on what you think is fun, and less admin. So,
and actually, that's a good closing statement. And actually, what I notice is that even though you stepped out of 3Shape, your energy and your passion hasn't died away in any way. It seems almost opposite. That there's even a release there that you're going much further. And then what I take away from the call is, okay, we will have open workflow platform that they will be on the winner side, right? 100%. We will see an increase of automation and acceleration based on AI agents there. Not only talking implantology, you were, I think, referring a lot towards practice management, like how dentists can organize their practice. We have the hope that, this is becoming more accessible for more patients and, the treatments are going to be simpler. And the overall technologies that are in the industry are like 3D printing, for example, enabling us to treat on a much better, more precise way, because that's also technology is becoming more precise. Anyhow, so what I want to say, Rune, thank you very much for your time, for being a sort of a joint brain with us. Exchanging with you is very exciting, and we wish you, most importantly, a fantastic success story with your company, IOX 3D. We saw the posting online, and some unbelievable number of views that were on there. So thank you very much, Rune, for your time.
It was a great pleasure. And thank you so much for the invitation.
Yeah, thanks.